Good evening and welcome to Business 7. Bottom-up innovation is flipping the whole idea of innovation on its head. That's according to our studio guests tonight. Stay tuned for an eye-opening interview as well as for African and international business news.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, yesterday released its latest economic growth outlook. Now let's take a look at what they are forecasting. Bottom-up innovation can lead to seriously effective problem solving in companies. Now that's according to Dr. Rikus Grobler. He is an author and also the innovation manager at Capricorn Group. He joined us via Zoom. Welcome to the Business 7 studio, Rikus Grobler, and thanks for making the time for joining us.
Hi, Jamari. Pleasure. Thank you.
Rikus, it's all about innovation in the workplace that we're going to talk about. In a nutshell, what is the current trend when it comes to innovation in the workplace?
Oh, you start off with the difficult ones. It depends probably from which angle you're looking at. I think in our economy, innovation is still very much a top-down thing, meaning innovation, let me first say innovation has become quite a buzzword. There's many opinions and definitions and things around innovation. But to answer your question, I think the trend is organizations will have a specific strategy. They will look where they are competing in terms of products, services, these kind of things, and then the leadership of the organization will usually take the decisions What are the new products? What are the new services? Where are we going to focus in terms of improving either efficiencies of creating new products or where they want to compete? That's the broad answer. Not all organizations do it like that, but I think in our economy and in our setup and what I see in terms of the businesses I engage with, that's usually how things work concerning innovation.
You argue that it's very important for normal employees to get involved in this innovation process, and that it's not just driven by a top-down structure. Can you elaborate on that?
Definitely, definitely. This is something I've been very passionate about my whole life, because I really get inspired when people, ordinary people, comes up with great ideas that makes a big difference. So yes, definitely, it's something I've been studying. It's been something I've been advocating. So yes, and the reason for that is the people who does the work on. I call it frontline employees. You can call it the guys in the people in the trenches. So the people who provide your services, work with your products, engage your customers. And these people at the cold face of your organization, they know what's going on in terms of what frustrates customers, why do customers yell at them, get angry with them. When they use your processes, they know where things get stuck. They know usually where inefficiencies are in the process. And most of the time, people are I firmly believe people are inherently creative, and people come up with ideas. If you look at just at your own home, if something bothers you, you make a plan to fix it or to make it right. So people are inherently creative. In an organization, even more so. So I've seen many times where people come up with simple ideas, and it solves a big problem. And I can name many examples of you. Just to name one quickly. So a branch manager phones me. He says, "No, he has an idea. They have to use." I'm not going to mention too much background to that people know the organization I'm talking about. They have to click through many screens to find the specific report that a lot of people in the organization have to run. Why can't IT just put a shortcut to that specific report on the people's desktop? You know, in a large organization, it's difficult because you work with many computers that not necessarily laptop. I'm forgetting the word now. Terminals. And so I found IT, and they said, "Yeah, no, it's not a problem." They did it in probably a half hour, and we did a calculation in terms of the number of people using the report, the number of minutes they saved without clicking through 10 or 12 screens that it took to get to that specific report. And it was a huge saving for the company. I'm talking like $100,000 a year saved in time now that people could spend on other things. Obviously, it's theoretical. If you save minutes a day by not clicking through 12 screens, you can have an extra cigarette or you can do extra work. But meaning it's such a simple thing, and it made such a big difference. I don't know how much time we have, but I can name many examples of these kind of innovations for you. So yes, I truly believe that innovation needs to be approached. I'm not saying it's something wrong with a top-down approach. Yes, there's place for it, and people are used to it, and it works. But it's such a source of creative potential, mining the ideas of your staff.
And the top-down approach is very entrenched. It's very traditional. How do we go about changing that mindset?
Yeah, you really start ask difficult questions today, but that's the whole question, because it's so entrenched, and we've always been doing it that way, and many organizations, not only in our environment and economy, the hierarchies of organization, you have a boss and your boss have a boss and the boss have a boss, and so it goes. So it is not as easy as just to say, "Okay, guys, I want your people, I want your ideas, let's do it." So the whole culture needs to change, meaning you have to create a culture and an environment where ideas are embraced, meaning anybody can come up with an idea. Managers and middle managers and senior managers listen to people's ideas and assist the employees. That I actually did my PhD research on these factors that gets what causes organizations to implement employees' ideas. And I can tell you many features, but one of the key things was listening. So managers need to listen to people's ideas. And to get back to your question, so managers are busy. There's targets to achieve. There's efficiencies to run. There's sales to be made. So setting out time to listen to ideas is not on the top of the priority list. So it's a whole change of culture, and it's a whole change of doing things. And it starts with simple things, meaning usually when in organizations where we implement this, you start with, you in any case have a weekly management meeting where you address certain issues or whatever. What about just taking 10 minutes of that meeting and to find out where are the big problems, and then maybe give people a chance to say, okay, has anybody an idea how to solve this? That's step one. And then obviously in terms of providing resources to implement ideas. People need to action it, meaning it takes time from the job that they're supposed to do. It means sometimes you have to spend money to do something. It means that you have to maybe change certain processes that makes people uncomfortable. Innovation and change is basically the same word. Innovation means change. So that's a very broad answer. What I can tell you is when people start seeing the benefits of this and people start realizing the potential of this, and once the penny has dropped, as the proverb goes, then people start realizing the value and realize how important it is to actually listen to employees and find their ideas. And then also, I do want to make a comment on this. It's not my article, but I read an article that changed my whole perspective. And the article's name was "Stupid Ideas Are Actually Good Ideas." And it means that not every idea is a winner. Not every idea is the $1 million idea. But what happens is that person brings an idea to the table because he or she sees there's maybe a better way of doing it, or there's something that's not working correctly. And the idea might be not the best idea, but as soon as people start discussing ideas, and as soon as people start talking about ideas, and usually, well, in our work environment, it's usually a diverse mix of people, meaning old, young, male, female, senior, junior, whatever you want to call it. Then they start building on the idea, and they start tweaking the idea, and they make the idea better. So it starts with an idea, and it doesn't have to be the final $1 million idea that changes everything. It can be a mediocre idea, or let's say simple idea. I don't want to use the word stupid, but that's a starting point. And then I've seen it so many times. And then people say, you know what? I like the idea, but what if you tweak it like this? Or what if you add this? Of maybe where you go this route, let's go this route. And people start thinking about it, and they usually come up with a better solution. So that's the other thing that's very important to me. And then obviously, like I said, leadership in terms of allowing people to make mistakes, allowing people to implement ideas, and if it doesn't work, don't punish them, but rather say, okay, why didn't this work? What can we learn from this? How can we do it different the next time? You know what? And it sounds really simple, but I don't know. Well, I can tell you why it's so difficult for organizations to implement. And it also takes a maturity on the employee side, meaning if I come with an idea, I don't know about other people. When I bring an idea to the table, I'm excited to see, can it make a difference? Will it work? What difference can it make? And then sometimes it doesn't work, or people don't accept your ideas. So it also takes a maturity on the employee side to say, you know what, this idea didn't work, or they didn't like it, but the next one is going to be better. The next one is going to make a real difference. I'm not going to stop trying. This is not the end of the road because one idea wasn't accepted. So it's a maturity on the employee side as well. If your idea doesn't make it the first round, or get shot down, or get criticized, or whatever. So there's a lot of levers that you have to pull, but it's possible. And I truly believe that if organizations pursue this, it's an untapped well of potential that it counts for free. Your people have it in them. People are creative. They want to solve problems. They want to make things easier and better. That's why we have, sorry, I'm rambling on here, but that's why we have airplanes and trains and computers and cell phones and name something these days, because people want to make things better.
Let's return to our conversation with Dr. Rikus Grobler. He's an author and the innovation manager at Capricorn Group, and he shares his thoughts on innovation. Aside from the benefits that it brings to a corporation, it also benefits employees on a very personal level, doesn't it?
For sure, 100%. Just think about the effect it can have on an employee when he or she brings an idea to the table. You listen to the idea, you implement the idea, and that idea makes a big difference, meaning it saves a lot of money, or it saves time, or it puts more smiles on customers' faces. Can you think the job satisfaction, the engagement of that employee? You know what? It's something that's close to my heart, and it's something that I think I'm going to write more about. People don't listen. These days, people don't listen to each other anymore. You start speaking to people, the next moment they start looking at this thing or reading emails or whatever. And when you listen to your employee and you actually take action on the ideas, I'm telling you, it's more worth than I don't want to say a big bonus. That's also worth a lot. But when people start seeing the leadership or management listen to the ideas, they get to implement and work on the ideas to make a difference, and they actually make changes in organizations that add value. There's no better feeling for an employee in terms of engaging. Then they feel motivated. If one idea works, they will bring the next one, and they will bring the next one. So I mean, just look at your kids or whatever. If they solve a problem, how great it makes them feel. And it's the same in the workplace. So you get the added bonus, not only of solving a problem, like that example I gave. You get the added bonus of engaging your employees, motivating your employees, and that creates a flywheel effect throughout the organization. The best research on this topic, it's a book called The Idea-Driven Organization. And my journey started by reading that book, and I actually reached out to one of the writers. He's a doctor professor in the States, and it was probably how the stars aligned. He was actually in South Africa when we started talking, and I was going to South Africa for work at that stage, and I actually met with him, Dr. Alan Robinson, and that's where my journey started. And that book, The Idea-Driven Organization, it lays out how ideas and creating a culture of implementing and listening to employees' ideas, how beneficial that are for innovation, for organizations, not only in terms of innovation, but just the whole work culture.
Rikus, you are absolutely passionate about this topic. It is simply pouring out of you. Where does the love for it come from?
Well, I've told it many times, and I've said it. I told it one time for an audience when I started a talk there with them, and they burst out laughing. So I'm a bit skeptical of sharing it these days. But when I was a small boy, there was a program called MacGyver. I don't know if you remember MacGyver.
I do.
He could solve any problem, and usually with explosives as well. And that to me, but yes, how great it is to always have a plan and always solve something. So I think that was the first seed that was planted. And then I thought of it many times. My dad was a GP, and my mom was very creative. She was musical and made wedding dresses, and very creative. Where my dad was the structured structured person. So I think that friction of being structured and creative, I don't know. It's the research on that is still very, very vague. Yeah, and I just get inspired by these stories. Do we have time? I can tell you just quick.
Absolutely.
I've shared this story so many times, but it stays. It's one of my favorite stories ever. So, and it's a true story. I think it was. Well, I'm not going to name names, but it was a large pharmaceutical factory. And they were making toothpaste and putting toothpaste in the toothpaste boxes. So everybody who's ever bought a tube of toothpaste know how that is. They found out, well, sometimes the machines don't put the toothpaste in the box, and they ship empty boxes. Obviously, now when that ends up on the shelf and the customer gets a empty box with no toothpaste in it, it's a bit of not good for your brand's reputation. So what big organizations do is they get in the engineers and the clever people, and they say, okay, so how are we going to solve this? And the solution was they built a scale in the conveyor belt where the box goes over, and then the scale weighs the box, And obviously, if the toothpaste is not inside, the box is too light, the processor picks it up and then and it stops the line and an alarm goes off and somebody has to come and remove the empty box. So how it goes to these projects, it's 6 months because it's very sensitive and high-tech equipment, project plan, big budget. Let's say for argument's sake, $300,000. Okay, great, the problem is solved. When the empty box goes over the conveyor belt, it weighs it, and then the line stops and alarm goes off. Happy times, no more empty boxes shipped. And so the factory manager, every time when he hears the alarm, he's like, wow, okay, problem solved. We did a great job here. And then after 3 or so weeks, he realizes that the alarm is not going off anymore. And so he walks down to the factory where they install the equipment, to the factory floor where they install the equipment. And the operator there, working there, what he finds is he bought like a $300 desk fan that you can buy from Game, and he placed it about 2 meters from the conveyor belt. And when the empty box comes by, it just blows it off the line. It just made it that the wind speed is enough. So he solved that big problem just with an ordinary desk fan. And the manager asked him, why did you do it? He said, no, I got tired of getting up every time to push the button to start the line again. So he had this incredible simple solution of solving that problem with a desk fan, just blowing the right amount to blow the empty boxes off. And that to me is, there's so many examples of that, of people coming up with these brilliant solutions. Just give them a chance. Just give them an opportunity to bring the ideas to the table.
It was wonderful to talk to you. Keep up the great work. We certainly need it in Namibia. Let me can show you something.
Don't worry. Next time, I check nice.
Thanks, but it's okay. FNB Insurance checks nicer.
At FNB Insurance, we provide cover for all your valuables. From your phone, to your laptop, to your car. FNB Insurance. You value it, we cover it. T's and C's apply.
To end tonight's program, let's take a look at the business stories which made headlines in Africa the past week. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, goodbye.
In Nigeria's capital, queues for gasoline snake through the streets. Fuel shortages have been causing a sharp increase in prices, exacerbating a cost of living crisis. Some prices in Abuja and Lagos have risen above 850 naira, or about 60 cents per litre. That's even though the state-owned oil firm NNPC, which imports the fuel, sells at an average price of 617 naira.
I'm supposed to be in my office and I'm not there because I have to come and do this.
Last year, President Bola Tinubu's government removed popular but costly fuel subsidies and allowed private businesses to import. However, foreign currency shortages and a cap on the price of petrol have meant NNPC remains the sole importer. Outside one gasoline station in Abuja on Tuesday, businessman Dan Issa said this isn't what Nigerians voted for.
The country is bleeding and you are adding more injuries. I mean, with my money, I'm still suffering, sweating. I have other business to attend to. I can't go for it. So how do I feed my family?
Oil marketers, who lift fuel from NNPC, have said they're not getting sufficient volumes to distribute around the country and are being told that logistics challenges were hampering supply. An NNPC spokesperson, however, said the company had more than 1.5 billion litres of petrol, enough to last at least 30 days, and that queues would end within days. They accused some outlets of taking advantage of the situation to maximise profits.
I've been here since 6 o'clock. Let the government help. Let them help us, please.
The fuel shortage is weighing on an economy already struggling with the highest inflation rate in 28 years. Analysts say the price of basic food items would see a sharp increase if shortages persist. This will add to frustrations after the government raised electricity tariffs for some consumers. Here's what's been making the business headlines in sub-Saharan Africa this week. Top cocoa producers, Ivory Coast and Ghana, do not have the beans available to fulfill deliveries of up to 500,000 metric tons, two industry sources have said. The deliveries were pre-sold for around $2,500 per metric ton, about a quarter of current world prices. That's after poor harvests in the two West African countries, which produce nearly 60% of the world's cocoa, led to a large global deficit. World Bank President Ajay Banga said on Tuesday that he expects donor countries to meet a request by African leaders to commit record contributions to a low-interest facility for developing nations. On Monday, African heads of state called for richer nations to help raise at least $120 million for the International Development Association.
I think the most important message is actually that this is not a handout. This is in the interest of the richer countries. If Africa develops well, Africa has a lot to offer the world.
Zimbabwe's new gold-backed currency came into general circulation on Tuesday, amid promises by monetary authorities to keep the money supply in check as they struggle to contain inflation. Zimbabwe gold follows the Zim dollar, which was dumped earlier this month after it lost more than 70% of its value against the dollar. Kenya Airways said it would suspend flights to Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa, from Tuesday, after military authorities there failed to release two of its employees from detention despite a court order. Congo's military intelligence detained the staff on April 19th because of missing customs data on some valuable cargo. The company said it did not accept the cargo because the shipper's paperwork was incomplete. And finally, and also in Congo, rebels in the country's east say they have taken over Rubaya, a key mining town for the smartphone mineral coltan. Most of Congo's mineral resources are concentrated in the east, where insecurity has worsened since the M23 group staged a major comeback in March 2022. A Congo army spokesman said they could not confirm if the rebels had seized the town.